How's it going, guys? I'm going to take a quick look at the charts. So I'm not going to go too in depth. I just want to mention a few things. All right. So one thing is when altcoins goes a lot down and Bitcoin or Ethereum or whatever really refuses to move lower, often I like to take that as a potential reversal in the terms that, if we should have gone lower on Bitcoin, I think we already should have. So we will see, okay? And I don't want to go into speculations about macro environment in terms of OTC and government selling and stuff like that, but we can build some arguments that potentially the low is in, okay? But it will remain to see, sort of how we unfold, because this current level, right? So the move that we initiated right there, this should have started to sell off lower. Since it didn't sell off lower, and we're starting here to move back up, I'll tend to like to assume that we will do something like that, okay? And I feel that that's often the case in terms of price action. The sentiment in the market has been extremely bad. So I feel like, if Bitcoin had a reason to move much lower, it should have gone there already. But, that's just speculation at this point. So I think the current structure right there that we are forming looks similar to me as what we are doing right there. It looks kind of similar to this structure, okay, which I tend to like to say that I really think most of the time we do something like that. It looks similar to this kind of structure, right? It looks sort of similar to this kind of structure, looks similar to this structure. It's basically that price goes lower, and instead of continuing that downtrend, it just sort of moves back up and goes silent and puts pressure on the levels above. Okay, that's just sort of how I view it. Now, in terms of signals, the 8 hour is starting to form. We haven't had any PA reversal in terms of candles, but if we had a bullish candle right at the bottom, that would have been a signal, but we didn't get that, so we only had smaller sort of triangle signals, which are not the strongest, and we didn't have a very large spike in the green hill as well. So it's not a super strong buy signal, but it's a buy signal nonetheless. We don't have that on the daily at all, so that's something to be aware of. And on the weekly, we potentially putting in here a pin bar. So we will see, how that starts to resolve. So there's a lot of things that can go on. Nonetheless, the 8 hour is a decent signal. 4 hour is as well a decent signal. Usually, when you see these lows, all these attempts, right? So one attempt, second attempt, third attempt, and we fail to drive lower. Most of the time, for me, that's a symbol of potential reversal. And then, if you get that in the opposite, we move up, fail, right, and then you fail, something like that, and you do the same on the other side, I think that's when we're loading up for a big move. But remember, this is just speculation, just price action. The same goes for this, right? So we had potential reversal for a big move. We had a semi move, at least we had a move, right? But then we just completely reversed it. So it's just price action building liquidity, and we're doing the best out of it and understanding what happens on the higher time frame. Okay, so if you look now, this is the 1-4, this is the 8. This is the daily, so you can see that we more or less actually at the same place, right? I don't think there's actually nothing too much new to discuss, to be honest. Let's see here in the terms of seasonality, if you're getting somewhere of interest. Let's just check quickly here. So we're getting into potential low. The next few weeks can be a potential low in terms of seasonality before a move upwards, and then sort of the final down move before October. So that's sort of the idea that we're trading with. Okay, so I'm long, and let's see how that turns out. Let's take a look at some of these altcoins. I think first I just want to mention two. One is Ethereum, and then we're gonna discuss WIF as well. I think they're a decent chart, but in terms of Ethereum, I just want to put this into perspective here. So this sort of idea, in my opinion, is that it looks good. So if I take, give me 1 second. So if I take everything off, you can see here that the way I view this, at least, is we have 2 attempts to drive lower again, but even stronger buyback than we had on Bitcoin. For me, usually this turns into an up move, and then I expect sort of highs to remain, and then create sort of lower lows. And by not lower lows, give me 1 second, like this. Give me 1 second. Support levels like this, right? And then create sort of that liquidity to push price. That's sort of how I view it. So usually when that happens, we get a contraction phase, okay? And contraction phase just means that price is compressing, okay? And when price is compressing, it creates a triangular fashion sort of movement, right? And then often you sort of break out, you retest, sort of that. So I think this sort of blueprint is pretty good, in my opinion. If you take that to sort of to the weekly as well, it's sort of, we can say, vertical accumulation. Still think this trend. You can use sort of EMAs as well, and probably EMAs most likely just gonna move in the same way as a diagonal trend line would. Okay, and if you look about this, if I do this on a 3-day, and we do this in terms of time and seasonality, that would line up pretty perfectly with the main idea I have about October being the bottom. Okay, so we can push this slightly over, like if you want, we can push that, but the point is more or less that, and let's see here, so September, yeah, we can push it a bit, but the point here is that September should be, and August, give me 1 second here. So this should be sort of the low, even if you do move upwards, and then from end of September we start going parabolic. Okay, so now is sort of the time to pay attention and see sort of where we are, and wait with a big trigger. You can try to go big and whatnot, but in terms of what you're willing to lose should be in October. So what I mean by that is that when you're putting on your high conviction trades, and you say, okay, I'm gonna hold no matter what, and then put the liquidation sort of number there, that should be in October, not now, or in the end of September. That's the point I'm trying to make. So you can trade now and go ahead and whatever, but you wanna wait with your high conviction ideas. So WIF as well, I think this sort of looks good, in my opinion. Sort of this is a idea shared on Twitter, but if you remove this concept, it's pretty simple. It's just that price extended, okay, we sold off, price compressed, we failed to break out, okay, and we moved to the less liquid side of the order book, which is below the consolidation, okay, and now since we're moving away into the less liquid side, then we can say that we went from weak hands to strong hands, and what that means is that the sell side to the buy side in terms of order book gets more heavy, right? So the buy side gets heavier than the sell side, mostly not just because people are not selling or a lot of people are buying. It's just that the most amount of selling has already been done. So the transactions on the sell side has sort of been completed, right? So that means that if an order book is stacked with a lot of transactions, and we swipe that book, right, just with a few orders on the buy side, will cause a price move in the opposite direction. That is basically what void and inefficiency is all about. Okay, so that's explained. So this is sort of a three-day chart. If you go to the 8-hour chart, you can see that we had already a buy signal. We have 2 daily buy signals right there. We don't have the green hill quite yet because the extension level wasn't too extreme, but in my opinion it was fairly extreme. This is a decent enough buy signals. Even if it goes lower, the buy signal will just become stronger. So on an 8-hour chart, it's pretty significant. So considering all of this, I think even on a 4 hour here, it really looks like price just, sort of failing to drive lower and then want to move back up. That's sort of the thesis here, and we're going to see how that resolves. So we have, let's go into RNDR as well. You can use sort of the same chart for FED. It looks good, right, for a reversal. You can see how these V-shapes recoveries. Let's use here. So you see this is sort of a V shape, this is a V shape, this is a V shape recovery. And all of this have to common is my indicator with this green buy signals, right? So we started already having some buy signals coming in, but at the bottom we didn't get the bomb, but we have everything else. Okay, so I think it's decent. It's not perfect, but it's pretty good. And usually what follows this is a significant uptrend, and by significant I mean it usually resolves in, let's say, at least a 20% move, if not more. Okay, so if we're getting a resolved minimum 20% move from this price point, it should move back up into this consolidation. Right? So I expect price to move towards maybe $10-12 at least. Okay, so that's sort of like the RNDR. Near as well, I'm soon in break even. I'm still holding this trade. Extreme. Look at this. It's extreme buy signal on the 8 hour. Even on a daily, you can see here that we're getting pretty extreme here on a daily. So this is highly significant. And the reason why we don't get these bomb signals is because liquidity or the candles are so large that it's more difficult to create these kind of signals, because it needs a reversal in price in terms of candlesticks and whatever. So it's much more difficult, but you can see that we are on 80 on a daily, which is extreme. It's pretty extreme, to be honest. And for me, it looks like we're mimicking the other side. You see this? Now, in my opinion, we're creating this for a move to the upside. So, I think the low most likely is in, to be honest, but I don't want to speculate, because August and September are usually a really bad month in crypto, right? So it's like people are sort of devastated. Like, is this summer chop getting in your head? Everybody's going crazy, and then you're having a sell-off on top of that post-summer. Everybody gets bearish, it's the worst sentiment, and then we just absolutely giga send, right? So that's the theory. 3 months on FTM, horrendous. Okay, so that means that it's good. Decent buyback on a weekly, 3-day, not looking too good just yet. Here on a daily, we're starting to get some buy signals. A beautiful wick there. It's not actionable just yet, so I'm gonna wait a bit. 8 hour, huge buy signal, 94. I've nearly never seen that. It's extreme buy signal. It's not often you get them. Okay, 80 you get them a few times, but 90 is extreme. But you can see it's also, of course, it was an extreme move, right? So it's when you get a 30% drop like that after a 35% drop, and then before that you had, so you first have a 55 drop, then you have a 30% drop after that, and just straight after that you're getting another 35%. That's extreme. That's why you get those extreme buy signals, because it's extreme price action. Okay, that's just how it works. That's why I'm trying to explain sometimes, that the worse it gets, the more bullish it becomes, and even if you're wrong on the idea, like, let me put this into perspective. So if you're talking about probabilities, okay, so if you have a chart, let's just pretend that we're going to enter, right? So you have something like this, okay, like that. If you enter at this given level, in reality you have 50% chance of going higher, 50% of going lower, basically. Okay, so you enter that, price moves lower, you lose. All right, you re-enter, 50% chance, 50% chance to go lower in reality, more or less, right? This is win or lose, basically, right? You lose. Okay, third time you enter the trade. Okay, so you lost 3 times in a row. how is the probability like? Like the probability is sort of getting to your side in reality, but you feel worse and worse because you're using the money and you're losing, right? So you lose again. Price moves lower, okay? So you re-enter again, okay? You feel horrendous, okay? And then you move lower, and then you're like, okay, I hate this. I'm not gonna re-enter. This is the worst thing ever, okay? What happens? Price moves back up, okay? Because one loss, two loss, three, four, five, six loss in a row, the probability is just getting more and more in your favor, right? So in reality, instead of betting less on each time you lose, you should actually bet more each time you lose. Of course, don't get liquidated. I'm just trying to bring a point across how to view, right? Because everything in trading is opposite. And at some point, you're just going to learn this, right? When you feel the worst, when the chart looks absolutely dog shit, that's when it's sort of bullish, right? When everything looks great, everyone is optimistic, everyone is bullish, that's the worst time, right? That's when you want to get sort of bearish and take profit. And every trade that is easy, that looks simple, that's usually the trades you lose. Every trade that you don't want to take, when you take them, you actually win, right? Everything in trading is opposite, right? It's just really, really weird. And at some point, you just have to sort of accept that and be emotionless. Of course, it's difficult, right? You also always have emotions, but that's why I like to have a system, right? Because the system tells me when to have emotions or not, right? So for me, even if I didn't have these indicators on my chart, I usually always want to buy the extension lower. But when I see the green color with the bomb, it gives me confidence, right? I can rely on something. And as a human being, we always want to rely on something. That's why we love religion, right? We love to have influencers. We love to have politicians. We want something to make the decision for us, right? It's an important part of being human, in my opinion, okay? And developing, therefore, an indicator or a system that you sort of feel that you can rely on and tweak, usually most of the time gives better result, not because the system is a better trader than you. It's because you're not so much inflicted by your emotions while you're trading, okay? So it's a small rant on stuff. All right, so let's just watch here. So overall, I think the market, more or less looks good. I don't see anything major bearish yet. We have an extension. Usually we come back. I think Fed should probably good place to take some profit. It's a large candle. If somebody did actually get, I know Meekin was in that 60% up move, usually a good place to take maybe some profit. Solana trying to backtest the back end of this. If you're starting to reclaim this stuff, we're gonna bring some more signals. But right now, what we want to play. If you already in a trade, that's good. If you're not in a trade, most likely it's better to wait for next week and sort of trying to get on into a small sell-off over the weekend or whatever. It's not good to chase these take profit and liquidity pumps in the market, in my opinion. No point chasing this, even though it looks good. It is sort of too late. This morning was a good time, but right now I think it's slightly too late to chase it. It won't result in anything good. So back just to recap everything. Okay, we are expecting more sideways. I think the bottom is potentially in, but no matter what price does, usually in September and August, we do actually sell off regardless, right? So even if we move higher from here, we're most likely going to sell off slightly anyway, okay? So you can trade now, take some good positions, but the time when you want to sort of go with your high conviction trades is after the summer, after September. Okay, guys, talk later. Peace out.